kicked it with my boys. We swore that we'd always be friends. If I moved, we would all move. It was gonna be all cool until one day my mom decided to quit doing drugs and make a home for baby thugs. So we picked up and moved, and I didn't even get to say goodbye. Rolling down the street, screaming and crying. I wasn't complying, I was only denying the facts of life. It wasn't time, cause I felt that I wasn't finished yet. A young space cadet, I just didn't expect changes like this to happen. Mom sat me down, calmed me down, wiped my nose, told me that time changes, son, better or worse. But the story goes on, it goes on. It's just the beginning. Time changed friends, time made men, time made us see what wasn't meant to be. Now we're enemies, unexplainable to most, but it's a ghost that we can't see. Time changes, man. Time changes, man. Time changes. Time changes. Time changes. Time changed friends. Time made men. Time made us see what wasn't meant to be. Now we're enemies, unexplainable to most, but it's a ghost that we can't see. Time changes.
1984, a little soldier's ready for war. Traverse City ain't ready for this seed to grow. My name is Joshua, aka Josiah, a natural leader, yeah, a real survivor. No doubt I'm down to ride. Mom was always by my side, even when Pops left and never said bye. Now I'm turning 5, and now there's another guy. Swear to God, I kill him if he makes my mama cry. Feel like I gotta protect her. She gave birth to me. She even read me stories while twisting up a green. Get high and go to sleep. Have peaceful dreams. Didn't have to worry about what the world would do to me until I grew up. And now I look at that shit. Mama working 2 jobs and I still threw fits. Sorry for it, but mama, time changes. People grow up, forgive, and flip to new pages. Now I'm grown up, struggling, but doing good. Trying to get some cheddar off music if I could, and I will. It's only a matter of time, so I'm waiting for time to change while I'm writing this rhyme.
Time changed friends, time made men, time made us see what wasn't meant to be. Now we're enemies, unexplainable to most, but it's a ghost that we can't see. Time changes, man. Time changes, man. Time changes. Time changes. Time changed friends, time made men, time made us see what wasn't meant to be. Now we're enemies, unexplainable to most, but it's a ghost that we can't see. Time changes. Time changes. Changes, man. Time changes now. Yeah. For sure. Just can't stand in one spot. Time doesn't stop. Stay strong. Yeah. Times changing. Yeah.
What's going on, y'all? Happy wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I hope everybody's having the smoothest, the coolest, and the 100% truest, wonderful Wednesday that there is to have out there today. I hope everybody is doing very, very well. I hope everybody was able to make it out to vote. I hope everyone got a chance to vote, got out and vote, and especially Detroit. We did get a new mayor. We have a new mayor, 313, and she's a lady. We have a lady mayor, a new mayor, but no new prosecutor. Unfortunately, the bitch is still in office. So, but I don't want to talk about more than that. But yeah, but it's all good. It is what it is, So how's everybody doing? Y'all having a smooth one? A cool one? A true one? Let me see something.
A true one.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for hitting that thumbs up button for me, everybody in the chat. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. That's cool. Okay, so today We had a case number 25-005199-01, and it was Mr. Tavares, Vari, the brother to our girl. Let me get his charges. I remember he got these charges back in July or August, I want to say. But he got controlled substance, maintaining, a rug house. And then child abuse, 4th degree. He stood mute. This was, the course of actions that took place, in chronological order. We see his interim condition for bond is he's got a personal own reconnaissance, 10,000, no illegal controlled substances, no contact with KH, his daughter. And then we see, as you see, it was the final conference today at 9 a.m. with Judge Mark Slavens, and we were in courtroom 701 at 9 o'clock. So, y'all, the defendant did not show up. A writ for arrest has been warranted. There's a warrant out for his arrest. Mr. Vari does have a warrant out for his arrest. They are keeping the trial date, which will be on 11/17/2025, which is we got 12 days. He will be going to trial. So they said that they're keeping the trial, and that the judge told his lawyer that any plea deals that were, if they were on the table, pretty much are off. No more. So if there was a plea, there will be no plea. And they said that if they can't find him, or if he does show up the day of the trial, that they'll do jury selection that day, and they will start testimony. So as that's going on, they're the lawyer, because when you go to court, they ask you, why you're there. And I was just like, I'm here for, the case ending in 199. They asked me, why. I said support, basically. And then I guess they thought maybe I knew him. So his lawyer kind of pulled me to the side and was like, hey, do you have a number for him? And I'm like, no, I don't personally know him. I do not personally know him. I don't have no numbers for him or anything like that. And then, so she waited, and she, went first, and she got up there, and she told the judge he was a no-show, and she told the judge that all the numbers that she had for him did not work, which when we were in that side room, she was calling, they were all disconnected and going, and, I had a few numbers, I thought maybe, just to try to help her. But then she also told the judge that she contacted CPS as well, because obviously, child abuse charges. So his child is in the care of CPS. So, she called the CPS worker to see if, she had a different number. And the number that the CPS worker didn't work either. That's what she had told the judge. So that's when he continued to say, all right, well, we're going to keep the trial going, and plea deals are off the table. So, again, Mr. Harris did not show up today. He was a no-show. It's, again, his daughter is in the care of CPS, and he has a no-contact order. So, it's just giving this family just, I guess, really don't give a fuck about no kids, man. They really don't. Oh, let me see who we got in the comments. My bad, y'all. Yes, ma'am. Because again, it doesn't say, this is his, but I would say, no contact, and the victim, that was abused, in this case was, his daughter. So I would think, but But how you doing, Pocahontas 0725? Hope you're having a smooth, cool, true, wonderful Wednesday, November the 5th. I hope it's being wonderful to you. So I did want to bring you guys that update. Again, we covered a story, justice for Zemar King. His mother, 9-year-old boy, tortured him, smothered him, and put him, and buried him in the backyard. She waived her preliminary hearing, so it's bound over. She will be in court on 11/12 at 9 a.m. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be covering that story too. And we got our girl, Miss London Thomas. Her trial is coming up 12/5/2025. And I'm going to be covering that one too. So, we got a lot of stuff coming over here. And then I wanted to move on because I said that I would, bring, this little girl's story to light. It's devastating. It's tragic. It's unacceptable. But this is Tanika Beauchamp. She was a 20-year-old. She had cerebral palsy. And listen to what Detroit did to this little girl, y'all. And let me tell you what. It happened in 2020, and this mother is still on the news trying to get accountability for what they did to her daughter. Now go ahead and I'm going to let y'all listen.
Cataracts, advanced glaucoma, 3 fatal diagnoses.
Of our society, and I think if we want to change things, not only we have to change qualified immunity, get rid of qualified immunity, make everybody responsible, but also you got to tell these EMTs every life is precious, to the point that if you're not sure, or if you're in a situation that you haven't felt, you've never seen before, maybe a disabled kid who suddenly is unconscious, you take that person to the hospital, let the hospital use all of their equipment to sort of figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and that's really it for me. And people might say, oh, well, why are you jumping to race, David? But what's it to you? The family was saying, hey, there's something else going on here. What's it to you to make that extra trip, take the patient to the hospital, and let them determine if you're going to call the doctor anyway? So I don't understand it. But I also, and I'm not, I'm just a layperson, not a trained lawyer, but I don't understand the reasoning from this judge. And maybe you're right, it's just the way the law is. But given the other circumstances, family member who said, I'm in the medical field and there's something going on here, can't a jury hear this? Can't there at least be that threshold?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're saying, well, the EMTs are
Hey y'all, don't forget to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for your girl. Don't forget, real smooth, like real cool, like and real true, like, please, and thank you on this wonderful Wednesday. Please hit that thumbs up button for your girl. Don't forget.
Personally not liable. You can still make the organization of the EMTs, the emergency responders, or the city liable for what happened. And I would think that, the city, if it had a conscience in Southfield, Michigan, wherever this happened, that they would say, okay, let's never mind what the courts have ruled. We're still going to give you a private settlement, because clearly there is some responsibility. I think most human beings can agree on people who declare somebody dead who's not dead, and that the suffering that child had to go through, the 20-year-old had to go through for the last several hours of her life is horrifying. So for that alone, you would hope that Southfield, Michigan, the community would do the right thing and say, okay, let's put aside the legalities, the qualified immunity, with all that kind of stuff. Let's settle. Let's give her family something to recognize the mistakes that our EMTs made.
Yeah, because it boils down, the judge even tackles, even with training, blah, blah, blah. But it really boils down to something very simple. If I'm an EMT and I can't tell when someone's dead or alive, we're not talking about brain dead, okay? Is there a pulse? To me, that says, well, the city can be responsible for, shouldn't you at least have enough training and skill to be able to say with some certainty about that?
Yeah, and look, Southfield, Michigan, that's a pretty wealthy suburb of Detroit. So they have the resources, both in terms of, local resources and EMTs and police. They have the resources to make sure their people are trained. And clearly, if they're not trained on how to detect a pulse with somebody who is disabled or presents a different set of medical conditions, the city ought to be retraining them and getting them used to this sort of thing. But again, that's not going to bring back this girl's life. And so for that reason alone, I hope that the family continues their lawsuit and sues the city in general, even if they can't sue the EMTs personally, and that the city does the right thing and acknowledges no human being should ever have to go through something like this and die this way. And for that alone, the city ought to try to do something to make amends with the family.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Plus public confidence, as you said, wealthy area, but public confidence, okay, that would be my worst nightmare, or for that to happen to a loved one. So we'll keep following it.
The government is banning this $39 air purifier next month, and this is your last shot to get the original
The disabled woman dies. If anything, the 20 minutes after the disabled woman dies, under care of EMTs, and the family can't sue. The details on this one. The estate of Timesha Beauchamp, 20-year-old woman with cerebral palsy, filed a federal lawsuit after she was declared deceased by first responders in Southfield, Michigan, and placed in a body bag despite not actually being dead. However, a court just ruled, July 26, the EMTs were immune from civil prosecution. I mean, I take that to mean no matter what they do, you can't sue, you can't recover. There's more. Beauchamp pronounced dead August 23rd, 2020, at her residence by EMTs after they ended life-saving procedures when they noticed no signs of life. First responders arrived on the scene 20 minutes after Beauchamp's mother, Erica Lattimore, found her unresponsive in her bedroom, who had a black star with the reporting. At approximately 8 a.m., the EMTs stopped performing CPR. They pronounced her dead, according to Courthouse News Service. However, family members noticed her chest moving and claimed that she still had a pulse. But the paramedics claimed that Beauchamp's chest movements and pulse were a result of her body reacting to medications and not signs of life. Now, the lawsuit named the first responders as Michael Storm, Scott Ricard, Philip Mulligan, and Jake Kroll. Okay? The lawsuit additionally read, they also called a doctor to obtain permission to stop trying to resuscitate Beauchamp, although they had already stopped resuscitative efforts more than 5 minutes before receiving such permission. The Beauchamp's nurse and godmother, Savannah Spears, told WXYZ-TV Detroit Channel 7, she felt a pulse after the EMTs pronounced her dead. It was faint, but I felt a pulse. I've been a nurse for 38 years, and I kind of know when there's a pulse and when there's not. Beauchamp was put inside a body bag, taken to a funeral home by an employee of the mortuary. 3 hours later, the embalmer opened the body bag and found Beauchamp with her eyes wide open and gasping for breath. She was rushed to the hospital, placed on a ventilator, and she died of an anoxic brain injury October 18th, 2020. According to the Detroit Free Press, the 4 EMTs were placed on leave, and the family filed a lawsuit against the 4 EMTs and the city of Southfield, claiming they violated the 20-year-old's civil rights by being deliberately indifferent to her serious medical need and treatment that resulted in a private act of violence. U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit ruled first responders were immune from the $50 million lawsuit, that the EMTs had qualified immunity from the estate's constitutional claims. Qualified immunity protects government officials from constitutional rights, liability, and civil lawsuits unless it can be proved that they violated clearly established law, which in practice has meant, wow, it's just incredible to read this. In practice, it has meant violations that are almost factually identical to previous misconduct instances that courts have ruled were unconstitutional. Now, the judge in this case, her name, Julia Gibbons, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. She wrote, "It is hard to see how it could be clearly established that the first responders exposed Beauchamp to a private act of violence when they mistakenly believed she was dead and left her in her family's care to be processed for routine funeral proceedings, which included the funeral home employee's act of putting Beauchamp's presumed dead body into a bag to transport her to a funeral home." Gibbons continued, "If anything, the fact that numerous laypersons recognized signs that Beauchamp was still alive suggests that the city could reasonably have expected the first responders not to pronounce Beauchamp dead without special training on this topic. In the same vein, the obvious signs of life Beauchamp displayed also undermine the inference that the first responders would have acted differently had they received more training from the city." David, it's an extraordinary story. I can't think of anything more horrible except, I don't know, maybe years ago, I heard this story of someone who was similarly, another place in the country, as I recall, or the world perhaps, placed in a coffin and had fingernail marks on the lid when the body was exhumed. But this is a horrific way to die. I can't imagine that you can't communicate. All of this is going down. The bag is zipped up over your head, and then stunned, this mortuary worker unzips it to find just an incredible find.
Yeah,
What say you?
this is horrible. This is sickening. This is everything that's wrong with these sort of situations. I can't understand for the life of me, even if the EMTs did not have proper training, even if the EMTs, reliable. I don't understand why it's not their protocol to take her to the hospital anyway. I mean, you don't find signs of life. Maybe you don't have the right equipment. After 20 minutes of trying, okay, you think that she's dead, but again, it feels like when you're dealing with somebody who is disabled, there's a extra set of challenges, not only for her family, but also for the doctors and the physicians and the EMTs who are in her care, because it's a different set of medical things that she might provide, as opposed to somebody who's, able to sort of talk and normally and all that sort of thing. But the other strike that was unfortunately against her is I sort of feel like maybe because this family was African-American, because she's disabled and she's African-American, there's a sense among certain responders that, well, her life maybe not as important as if we were going to the country club and rescuing a rich white kid who just got unconscious on the tennis court. That is a reality of our society. And I think if we want to
say it
change
again,
things, not only do we have to change qualified immunity, get rid of qualified immunity, make everybody responsible, but also you got to tell these EMTs every life is precious, to the point that if you're not sure, or if you're in a situation that you haven't felt, you've never seen before, maybe a disabled kid who suddenly is unconscious, you take that person to the hospital. Let the hospital use all of their equipment to sort of figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and that's really
and I want to ask y'all a question. I know I don't have a degree in, that ambulance work and all that, blah, 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 but how can the EMT pronounce somebody unalived? I thought there's only certain people that could pronounce somebody deceased, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe the EMTs can. Again, I don't go to school for EMT. I never have been an EMT, but I watched it. I don't know. Again, can anybody in the replay or that's watching, help me shed light? Can an EMT worker declare somebody deceased? Asking for a friend.
to race, David. But what's it to you? The family was saying, hey, there's something else going on here. What's it to you to make that extra trip, take the patient to the hospital, and let them determine if you're going to call the doctor anyway? So I don't understand it. But I also, and I'm not, I'm just a layperson, not a trained lawyer, but I don't understand the reasoning from this judge. And maybe you're right, it's just the way the law is. But given the other circumstances, people, family member who said, I'm in the medical field and there's something going on here.
If you want to drop your auto insurance rate, then don't skip this video. Take a look. I've removed my personal info, guys.
Can't a jury hear this? Can't there at least be that threshold?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're saying, well, the EMTs are personally not liable, you can still make the organization of the EMTs, the emergency responders, or the city liable for what happened. And I would think that, the city, if it had a conscience in Southfield, Michigan, wherever this happened, that they would say, okay, let's never mind what the courts have ruled. We're still going to give you a private settlement, because clearly there is some responsibility. I think most human beings can agree on people who declare somebody dead who's not dead, and that the suffering that child had to go through, the 20-year-old had to go through for the last several hours of her life is horrifying. So for that alone, you would hope that Southfield, Michigan, the community would do the right thing and say, okay, let's put aside the legalities of qualified immunity with all that kind of stuff. Let's settle. Let's give her family something to recognize the mistakes that our EMTs make.
Yeah, because it boils down, the judge even tackles, even with training, blah, blah, blah. But it really boils down to something very simple. If I'm an EMT and I can't tell when someone's dead or alive, we're not talking about brain dead, okay? Is there a pulse to me that says, well, the city can be responsible for, shouldn't you at least have enough training and skill to be able to say with some certainty about that?
Yeah, and look, Southfield, Michigan, that's a pretty wealthy suburb of Detroit, so they have the resources, both in terms of, local resources and EMTs and police. They have the resources to make sure their people are trained, and clearly if they're not trained on how to detect a pulse with somebody who is disabled or presents a different set of medical conditions, the city ought to be retraining them and getting them used to this sort of thing. But again, it's not going to bring back this girl's life. And so for that reason alone, I hope that the family continues their lawsuit and sues the city in general, even if they can't sue the EMTs personally, and that the city does the right thing and acknowledges no human being should ever have to go through something like this and die this way. And for that alone, the city ought to try to do something to make amends with the family.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Plus public confidence, as you said, wealthy area, but public confidence. Okay, that would be my worst nightmare, or for that to happen to a loved one. So we'll keep following it.
Good evening to you, friends. Welcome here to the news at 6 on the...
So, again, you guys heard, this happened in 2020. They tried to go after the EMTs. They were protected by the Constitution. They cannot be sued. So now they're trying to sue the city. And it's the year 2025. And they were just going to go to trial. And then it was again pushed back. This poor family, it's like, come on, Jack. Like, come on, man. Like, y'all fucked up. Now just take accountability and make it right, because she did not deserve that. You guys absolutely 100% dropped the fucking ball. Period. So, Tanisha Beauchamp, I'm sorry this happened to you and to your family, prayers to you, your mom and your father and anything else. And again, Detroit, we got to do better. Our higher uppies gotta work harder and stop being so lazy and hateful and whatever it is, It's just about, if you want to be an EMT, be it because you really want to be, not just cause. Like, if you're doing something and you don't want to do it, stop doing it, please. Because you're affecting other people and you're affecting shorties. So come on, man. That's crazy. So again, let's pray that this mother can get justice for her daughter. and they can be held accountable. Excuse me. All right, I want y'all to hear this story.
This Friday, from the WFBI team, a convict accused of raping a 4-year-old and giving her an STD has a lengthy history of arrests and convictions, raising questions about how he keeps getting out of jail.
The I-team found Anthony Jelks Jr. had just been released from prison at the end of June and is on parole until 2027 for domestic violence-related charges. Our chief investigator, Chris Nakamoto, sat down with the Baton Rouge police chief, who expressed big-time frustration with the revolving door of criminals his officers continue to see. Chris.
Good evening, Liz and Greg. Jelks had just been released on parole in June of this year, only out for a matter of weeks when investigators say he raped a 4-year-old and gave her chlamydia. Tonight, we went searching for the convict and ran into people who identified themselves to us as his family. Anthony Jelks is only 25, but is well known to Baton Rouge police, causing problems over the years spelled out in a plethora of paperwork filed with the 19th Judicial District Court.
It's extremely frustrating.
Baton Rouge Police Chief T.J. Moore sat down with us Friday, expressing frustration after the same man is now accused of raping a small child.
We've arrested him 6 times over the last 6-7 years. He's everything from firearm charges to domestic abuse battery, violation of protective orders. He's currently on probation, supervised probation, by probation and parole. So it is definitely somebody we are doing our best to go after, and if anybody out there knows where he might be, please give us a call.
The WFBI team found court records showing Jelks was arrested in 2020, accused of punching a woman in the face with a closed fist. The charges were dismissed 3 years later. He was then arrested in 2022 for punching another female in the face in front of her children. Bond was set at $30,000. He pled guilty to domestic abuse battery and was sentenced to 6 months in prison. In 2024, he was arrested again, this time for battery on a dating partner and resisting an officer. He was already on probation and placed on a probation hold. He pled guilty to battery of a dating partner and received 6 more months in prison and was released at the end of June. Chief Morse expressing frustration at what he describes as a revolving door of the same offenders.
It is an issue when we're arresting the same people over and over and over again. When we, earlier this year, we arrested somebody for murder we had arrested them 3 times within a year and a half for either homicide or attempted homicide, and then finally another homicide. And just keep getting out on bonds.
In all of Jelks' arrests, detectives noted his home address at this house on Jackson Street. We went looking for him Friday after this new arrest warrant was issued for him, after investigators say he raped a 4-year-old and gave her an STD. A car pulled up and one female identified herself as Jelks' sister. Arrest documents for Jelks do not imply any of his family members are connected to the rape victim.
Were you aware that your brother has an active arrest warrant out for his arrest?
With the revolving door that appears to exist with defendants coming through court, Chief Morse says a dialogue needs to happen between elected judges, prosecutors, and police so everyone can get on the same page.
So it's definitely an ongoing conversation I'm having with the district attorney, Hiller Moore. He's also some of the same frustrations where some people are putting in and even getting released before they have a chance to argue why that person shouldn't be released. And so trying to work with them, trying to get all the judges and now commissioners, because a lot of times the commissioners are the ones setting the bonds, on the same page, or give us a little bit more time so we can tell you why this person should be released or why they should have a higher bond.
With Jelks being a prime example of what Morse is talking about, he's pushing for change to stop the madness.
Extremely frustrating, especially to our detectives that do a lot of work to get these arrest warrants, our officers that then find them. And it's something that we talk about all the time, about low bonds. And some of these things with domestic abuse battery, some of the bonds were $3,000, $15,000 for weapons charges, things like that, which I think are too low. I think that some things need to be looked at.
Investigators noted that Jelks was also in trouble in 2022 for indecent behavior with a juvenile, but there's no record of those charges in Baton Rouge. Here's another look at Anthony Jelks Jr. If you know where he might be, contact Crime Stoppers. You know that number, 344-STOP. For the WAFBI team, I'm Chris Nakamoto. Greg, Liz.
All right, Chris, thank you.
So, and the crazy thing is they did arrest him. They found him, and guess what? They let him out on bond. Tuh. Gave him a bond with all that long criminal history, and still gives him a bond. It's crazy. Very, very insane. Again, y'all, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for your girl.
Details on the shooting that shut down a stretch of I-95 in Boca Raton yesterday. A woman is now under arrest accused of shooting another driver. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live outside the jail in Fort Lauderdale where that suspect is being held at this hour. Roy?
Yeah, Nicole, this all happened during rush hour, so pretty remarkable that there were no other reported injuries. And the woman accused of firing that shot with no prior criminal history, but she is now facing some pretty serious charges.
I am going to hold you without bond.
No bond for Brianna Evans as the 26-year-old faced a Broward County judge Thursday after Broward Sheriff deputies said she opened fire on another driver while on the lanes of I-95 near Hillsborough Boulevard.
You are charged with 1 count attempted premeditated murder, 1 count attempted murder while engaged in a certain felony offense.
But in court, her attorney claimed that shot fired was all in an effort to defend herself.
Really felt fear for her life and which resulted in the actions which she did in order to defend herself. My understanding, Judgment Speed to her, she was being followed by these 2 male individuals.
The Broward Sheriff's Office said it was just after 4:30 Wednesday when deputies responded to the shooting on the interstate in Boca Raton that caused massive traffic delays. It's there they discovered this box truck with a bullet hole piercing right through the driver's side of the cab. The man behind the wheel hit in the head.
There's nothing to indicate that this person was trying to drive into her. It was her reckless driving that created the dynamic that caused those cars to come together.
In court, we learned Evans claimed the truck driver and another passenger with him were following her. She was in fear for her life, but state prosecutors say it was Evans who was the aggressor.
By her own admission, she cut him off because she doesn't like people that don't drive fast enough in the fast lane, causing his car to go into hers, and then to claim she decided to shoot.
After Evans and the alleged victim pulled over, investigators said she threatened him again.
After he was shot, didn't realize it, pull his car over, go to her car to see if she's okay, to which she threatened him with the gun again.
So, again, Evans is being held without bond, but if she is to be released from jail at some point, she has been ordered to surrender her weapons and no longer permitted to drive. As for the victim in this case, surprisingly, he is expected to be okay. For now, here in Fort Lauderdale, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
All right, y'all. I want to show y'all this. We got, I will hold them accountable. We have here a officer, a white tee officer shoots a BLK woman 6 times during a traffic stop, and he says he's going to hold him accountable. Supposedly.
Peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. Yet we have another black woman, this time in Detroit, who was shot 6 times by a white police officer during a traffic stop. Now I'm going to show you this news video, which they're going to frame.
This happened 6 days ago.
Then we see this police chief frame. Finally, we do have a police chief that is standing up and condemning his officers for firing upon this lady. Now, this video was fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just watch.
Allie, thank you. We got to tell you about a woman recovering in the hospital this morning. This was after a traffic stop turned into shots fired by police on Detroit's east side.
Now, it all began when an officer attempted to pull a woman over along Van Dyke near 8 Mile. Police say she sped off and almost hit officers as they tried to cut her off nearby, which led to officers opening fire.
7 News Detroit reporter Brittany Tulis is joining us live from DPD headquarters this morning. And Brittany, walk us through what happened here.
I can't believe what they were saying in there.
Seriously, you could actually understand them?
Yeah, the lady in front of me forgot to tip, and so they're talking so much crap.
Oh my god.
I forgot to tip.
Wait, hold on, before you go back.
Yeah, Alicia, LADPD's Chief Todd Bettison says this all started with a traffic stop and just escalated from there. The first officers used pepper spray, then the suspect took off. The second time police stopped her, an officer fired multiple shots, hitting the suspect. Then she started driving away again. Now, this is right before those gunshots at East Outer Drive. The suspect's SUV is about to turn left on Concord when a DPD squad cuts her off. Another squad pulls up behind the suspect, boxing her in. The SUV reverses as an officer can be seen stepping back, heard yelling commands, then firing up to 10 times, hitting the driver. Both arms and one leg were injured. The suspect then drove over a mile to DPD's Metro base on Sherwood, where she got help, ending the chase. Now, this all started near Van Dyke and Savage Avenues with a traffic stop for not having valid plates. The driver called 911 herself, asking to talk to another officer. Chief Todd Bettison says that happened, but the driver still wouldn't give police her valid license or registration. Officers did get her out of the vehicle, and pepper spray was ultimately used. Chief Bettison says she got back in the SUV and drove about a mile to Concord and East Outer Drive, where she'd be shot by officers.
I'm happy to report that she's in stable condition. She will survive. But my message to the public, when you're driving a vehicle, when you're pulled over, you have to comply. You have to, by state law, you have to provide your driver's license. You don't have the opportunity to say, I'm not going to provide my driver's license during a traffic stop. So some folks just don't know that.
And the driver is facing multiple charges, including fleeing and eluding. And Alicia and Allie, that one is a felony here in the state of Michigan. Live at DPS headquarters, I'm Brittany Tulis for 7 News Detroit this morning.
Yeah, complying with officers when they pull you over, it is law. Brittany, thank you for that live update.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there because they get into some more officer-involved shootings in the Detroit area. But after reviewing the body cam footage, that police chief that you just heard talking about you must comply is going to take a completely different tone. You heard them say that the woman was stopped. She asked for a supervisor. They didn't get a supervisor. She was pulled out of the car. She was pepper sprayed. She got back in the car, drove off, and while she was driving off, they shot her. And then she drove a couple of miles to get some help. Now, this police chief, finally, I'm going to give him kudos because you're going to hear him break down everything that we have been seeing on this channel concerning police interactions, de-escalation, and the need to shoot even when there is no threat. Now, I want you to watch this video, and kudos to finally a black chief with the kahunas to call out white officers who are doing wrong. Now watch this video, and if you have not subscribed to the channel and you like this content, hit that subscribe button right there. It helps the channel to grow. But watch this video.
And I will drop his link in the chat.
Coming on short notice. Today, I have called you all here to discuss the officer-involved shooting that happened on yesterday's date, which was Sunday afternoon in the 11th precinct area. Normally, I would not do a media briefing on an OIS officer-involved shooting during this short of a time frame. But this morning,
hold on one second, y'all.
Meeting, I was able to review.
Investing
Yeah, I went ahead and dropped Taylor House Published. He this is shout out to him. Thank you for covering, bringing the story. I dropped his link in the chat.
Normally, I would not do a media briefing on an OIS, officer-involved shooting, during this short of a time frame. But this morning at my senior management meeting, I was able to review the body-worn camera, and at my briefing yesterday at the scene, I updated you and stated that the information was fluid, preliminary, and that I had not reviewed the camera footage at that moment. I was able to review the body-worn camera footage from the shooting officer and wanted to ensure that, as promised, I would give you all an update. I will not be releasing the body-worn camera footage today because I do not want to jump in front of the Wayne County prosecutor, which is standard in an officer-involved shooting. We will be submitting a warrant request, as we always do in all of our officer-involved shootings, and the investigation will be led by the Michigan State Police Department. But I do want to update you and walk you through what transpired to give you an update. After reviewing the body-worn footage, I can tell you that yesterday afternoon, our officer was out on routine patrol in the area of Van Dyke and 8 Mile. He observed what he deemed to be a traffic violation and conducted a traffic stop. The driver of the vehicle, which was driving a black Dodge Durango, complied with the officer and pulled over her vehicle immediately. At this point, the officer exited the patrol vehicle and approached the driver's side of the Dodge Durango. The officer identified himself and gave the reason for the traffic stop. The driver strongly disagreed with the officer as to the reason. The officer asked the driver for her license, registration, proof of insurance of the vehicle. The driver requested for the officer's supervisor numerous times, including at one point the driver called 911 while the officer was standing at the vehicle. The officer requested backup to the scene for support. Once backup arrived, the officer physically opened the driver's door in an attempt to get the driver out of the vehicle. The officers were unsuccessful in their attempt to pull the woman out of the vehicle, and she was pepper sprayed by one of the backup officers. She then closed her door, and the driver drove off from the scene. The officers pursued the Durango up Van Dyke for approximately 1 minute until they boxed in her vehicle a short distance down the road at Concord and Outer Drive. At this point, the officer which fired shots, we'll call him the shooting officer, jumped out of his vehicle that was parked in front of the Dodge Durango and began ordering the woman to exit the vehicle. The driver, as it is shown in the video, began trying to drive her vehicle out of the box. While the Durango was driving away from the scene and past the officer, he ordered the woman 2 more times to get out of the vehicle before he fired multiple shots into the Durango. The shooting officer then jumped back in his squad car and pursued the Durango with the backup units following behind. They pursued, ultimately ending at the Detroit Police Department facility. The driver was shot a total of 6 times. Officers rendered first aid. Medics were called. They transported the woman to a local hospital. The woman was released from the hospital and subsequently taken to the Detroit Detention Center. This morning, I ordered her released from the Detroit Detention Center immediately. I want to talk about the policy violations. This incident has policy violations in multiple areas. I find them concerning. The Detroit Police Department, first of all, should not pursue, and we have a policy against vehicle pursuits for traffic. Our policy states that we will pursue individuals that have committed violent felonies only, violent crimes. DPD also has a policy against the procedure where you box in a vehicle. One vehicle in front, one vehicle behind, in an attempt to stop it from moving. I repeat, DPD we do not shoot at moving vehicles unless it is an extreme
But you do.
circumstance where life is at jeopardy. As an officer, we are trained to de-escalate situations. Failing to request a supervisor when one is requested falls in line with the citizen complaint.
Macular degeneration, bilateral cataracts, advanced glaucoma, 3 fatal diagnoses.
She requested a supervisor multiple times. I want you all to know that I am preparing to submit to the Board of Police Commissioners to have the shooting officer suspended without pay immediately. And again, a warrant request will be submitted to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. This is standard. The actions of the officer in violating our policy is not consistent with what should be done. The officer will be held accountable for that. An internal investigation is going to be headed up by the Homicide Task Force, which is led by the Michigan State Police Department. The driver, as I stated, has been released from the Detroit Detention Center this afternoon and will not be facing any charges from this incident. The Detroit Police Department has policies in place for a reason. We are a constitutional police department, and
Oh, are you?
I definitely will hold officers accountable for policy
I hope so.
violations.
I really
At this
do.
point,
I can't wait to see this. DDP. The fuck? That'll be great, sir. And yeah, today is the day. I hope everyone's having the smoothest, the coolest, and the 100% truest, wonderful Wednesday there is to have out there. You know, yesterday was election day in Detroit. We have a new mayor. It's our first female mayor in history. Mary Sheffield has won our mayor position. Unfortunately, Miss Worthless is still in office, Detroit, but it's okay. We got to do better. I hope everyone was able to get out and vote, you know, because our voices do matter.
We're learning more about a deadly stabbing earlier this week in Norfolk. 25-year-old Keandre DeBro is charged with second-degree murder and burglary in the death of 23-year-old Shakira Clark. Police say Clark was killed Monday inside her home on East Brambleton Avenue in Young Terrace. 10 of your side's Karina Garcia uncovered new details in court documents.
Tonight, we are learning new details about a deadly stabbing in Norfolk. The woman, the victim, at the center of all of this. Court documents show us she was begging police for help just a month prior. A little before 8 Monday morning, Shakira Clark called 911, saying her ex-boyfriend, Keandre Dubrow, was breaking into her home. By the time officers got there, it was too late. Clark was found unresponsive, with visible trauma reported across her body. Court documents now reveal Clark had domestic charges pending against Dubrow just last month, and she was granted a protective order on October 1st. That order expired 5 days later. Dubrow and Clark had 2 children together. Both of them were home at the time of the incident. Cynthia Swift, a close relative of Clark, was there Monday, the day police responded to Brambleton Avenue.
It is just surreal. I can't even say, I mean, I just can't believe it that I just saw her not even 10 hours ago.
She told 10 on Your Side the children were ages 3 and 1 years old.
They're so young, but they're very smart kids.
According to police and court filings, Dubrow was arrested by Norfolk's fugitive squad.
Well, the police have various reports she made in regards to this young man terrorizing her. This is, unfortunately, it's surreal.
Records show Dubrow had been wanted since 2021 on other serious charges, including robbery, abduction, and strangulation involving a separate victim. A criminal complaint shows Dubrow stands accused of using his cousin's identity to avoid arrest. Court records also note he was polite and cooperative during his hearing, at one point saying he was, quote, sorry for what he did and that he made a mistake. For now, Dubrow remains behind bars. He is due back in court for a bond hearing come November 3rd. In Norfolk, Karina Garcia, 10 on Your Side.
Oh man, we got live one shot at Michigan Business, 34 minutes. What's going on? What the hell?
The police don't want you to know this.
Oh man.
They don't want you to know this. Drivers.
What's going on? They got the helicopter. What? Where it at? Come on, show me. I think Channel 4 should hire me, or I should apply. It says, I want to see what business it is, but I just saw it says, okay, let's see. Here we go. Why are y'all not talking? Oh, it says a victim was shot multiple times at a manufacturing business in Almont. Sources say the shooting happened at Trim's Ultimate on Van Dyke. The suspect fled the scene and was shot by Lapeer County deputies. A shooting at Lapeer County manufacturing business is under investigation Wednesday morning, according to police sources. What we know. Sources said a victim was non-fatally shot 3 times at Trim's Ultimate on Van Dyke, north of Dryden and Almont. After the shooting, the suspect fled the scene before being unalived by the police. Sources say the suspect's condition is unknown. The Lapeer County Sheriff's Office confirmed that the suspect was taken into custody in a Metamora area and there is no threat to the public. Well, good. They were on that shit. Good job, good job, good job. Michigan State Police said troopers were requested to investigate a deputy, involved shooting in the 2200 block of Sutton Road, but did not confirm details about the shooting or what led to it. People are asked to avoid the area while the investigation continues. It's unclear how the shooter and the victim knew each other. And this was breaking news. This is they're live right now. They're flying around with a helicopter, but they have no sound in Detroit. That's crazy. So I decided to click on it and watch it with y'all. It's crazy out here, Detroit. We gotta do better, Detroit. And, as a whole, United States, we gotta do better. We have to. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. damn.
Only on Local 4 newly released video shows the moment a Detroit bus passenger was sent flying. This after a dispute over an open window. Now, this happened 2 years ago, but the victim is just now seeing that surveillance video for the very first time. Thanks for
Dang, it took them 2 years to get her this footage. Wayne County for you.
The bus driver slammed on the brakes on purpose. Local 4's Erica Erickson was there as the woman saw this video for the first time and learned why she says the driver's story doesn't add up. Erica.
Yeah. That woman, as you said, watching that video for the first time today, she says she's got injuries to her head and back. We watched her as she saw that video, and she says, wow, this really shows what happened. Watching this video for the first time. It felt that hard. Angela becoming emotional, taken back to 2 years ago in an instant. They accused me of attacking the bus driver. It was November 6th of 2023 when Angela's attorney says she'd been riding a Detroit bus near Grand River and Evergreen. When Angela, who has
There's so
asthma,
much no
says
justice in Detroit. Get the man, and probably everywhere else too, but man.
put their window up. Angela says after the driver refused to help and called her a derogatory name, she began walking back to her seat.
Damn,
The
he's
transit police report showing the driver says another car cut him off, forcing him to slam on his brakes.
liar.
There's a camera view of the front of the bus where it showed no cars in sight for hundreds of feet. He actually wasn't even looking ahead when he slammed on the brakes. He was looking back and he was looking directly at Angela.
Angela, thankful the driver did call 911 and to the men who helped her on the bus that day. But since filing suit, and simply says they want answers.
They've been pointing the finger at Angela and saying that she is not telling the truth, where in fact, the video showed that she was telling the truth.
He could have killed me that night. He could have hurt other passengers on the bus. Now, we did reach out to the city of Detroit. They did release a statement saying, quote, it is the city's policy to not comment on pending litigation.
Oh, we know. We hear it all the time. We can't comment. We can't comment. Whatever. Well, I can. I'm gonna make a comment. I know that. More my opinion.
That's the files with the court. Now, we did ask also if that driver is still employed with the city. We have not yet received a response regarding that. Reporting live, Erica Erickson, Local 4.
Probably, because they don't care.
How to turn a tri-tip roast into unforgettable
That's
barbecue
crazy.
beef biscuit sliders.
I'm about to show y'all
tri-tip roast gets
the lady real quick.
One by one, the 7 investigators have revealed how police officers with checkered pasts have been able to avoid accountability. Some finding a second or third act in the new departments just down the road. It's not supposed to work that way, but as 7 investigator Ross Jones has been showing us for months now, it is happening far too often.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause. I want to show you. This is a young lady who's trying to sue the city because of what the bus driver did. You know, the video. I agree, in my opinion, the video and the title to the video is right there if you want to watch the whole thing. But in my opinion, he definitely was malice behind it. He had ill intent, in my opinion. Just to slam on his brakes and do that to this woman. That's her falling back. If you can see, if you look by the red channel 4, that's her like hitting the floor. And then I'm gonna show like she was walking and he just like dog busted on them brakes, slammed on them. So, and good luck, baby girl. This is Detroit. And again, it's still been 2 years. She's just now seeing the footage. Get the fuck out of here. We got to do better, Detroit. 2 years later, just now seeing the footage. I don't know.
Well, tonight, his latest example, how one police department covered up an officer's misconduct, allowing him to do it again with horrifying consequences.
They say history doesn't repeat itself.
Bullshit.
Sometimes it rhymes.
The incident was similar. You know, it involved a taser, it involved excessive force.
This is the story of how one police department's decision to keep an officer's misconduct quiet allowed him to inflict even more pain just down the road.
Open the door, you get tased. Open the door, you get tased.
It cost taxpayers a fortune.
I've never had a single case resolve this quick.
Triggered criminal charges.
For the record, could you state your name?
Name you clear.
And showed how ignoring police misconduct only makes it worse.
Boss man, you got a bounce.
On a rainy afternoon in May of 2020, Highland Park Public Safety Officer Damian Player is called to the Burger King along Woodward Avenue. He's working a police shift on this day, responding to a call of a man loitering outside the restaurant.
Man, what part of leave do you not understand?
The man, who police would later suspect was homeless, ignored the officer's commands. So, from the front seat of his police car, Officer Player does what department policy says he shouldn't. He pulls out his taser and takes aim. The taser didn't take effect, so Player gets out of his vehicle and begins following the man who starts to cross the street while hurling expletives.
You know why I say the police? Because of you. Come over here and do my that part.
Before long, Officer Player joins in with name-calling of his own, at one point calling the man a homophobic slur.
Go about your business, sissy.
After trading insults, both men...
Dang, the police. What? He said, I'll uck your child. Man. Detroit. Man. What the fuck?
He briefly assumes a fighting stance before turning around and walking away. Then watch this. With the man's back facing the officer, Player deploys his taser again, then takes the man to the ground.
Okay, now.
Watch the video again. As Player takes the man down, he strikes his head hard on a concrete building, then lays motionless on the wet pavement.
Oh, man.
The man appears unconscious, even as Player tries to wake him.
Yo. Wake up, man.
What does it say to you that Officer Player tased the man while he had his back to him?
In this case, it wasn't appropriate. The taser should not have been utilized in that instant.
I agree.
The man was a sergeant with Highland Park PD at the time of the incident.
It's a scary situation. Someone just hit their head. It's not a situation where we should have been involved in that. It's disappointing. I mean, that individual didn't deserve that.
The man would eventually regain consciousness and was taken by ambulance to a hospital. An internal affairs investigation concluded that Officer Player violated the department's code of conduct and taser policy.
Was Officer Player disciplined for this?
Other than removed from police services? No. The legal department.
Looking for a new home? Just
We already knew that.
Realtor.com changed the way you search for homes. So you just say what you want and see what you want. Yeah, that's real nice. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Just removed them from police services, but allowed them to work fire department.
Oh my goodness.
To this misconduct was to take a
But you can work. Get the.
turn him into a full-time firefighter.
Correct.
McMahon says Player's discipline was handled by then City Attorney Terry Ford, who he said pushed to suspend, not terminate Player, and remove him from the police services in Highland Park. And he said Player got one more break too.
Was this referred to the prosecutor?
It was not.
Should it have been?
It would be today. Next police officer.
Man, get the fuck out of here. What you mean today? I know you lying to me. You dirty so-and-sos.
Was then Highland Park Police Chief Kevin Coney.
Hopefully I can represent the city well, my family well.
But less than 2 years later...
Open the door, you get tased. Open the door now, you get tased.
Officer Player and his partner would be involved in this traffic stop, pulling this truck driver out of his vehicle. His partner threw him to the ground in the rain. As Player tased him repeatedly. Making matters worse, it all happened in centerline, outside of the officer's jurisdiction.
Oh, man.
The man was charged with nothing, but the officer's conduct was so egregious that the city of Warren paid out a $400,000 settlement barely a month later. Player and his partner were charged with assault and then fired.
From what I know about Damian Player, he's not a bad police officer.
Kevin Coney told us he didn't remember almost anything about Damian Player's tasing in Highland Park, even though that's Coney responding to the scene that day where Player told him this.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, right? My heart stopped when I thought that man.
Coney was fire chief at the time and would be appointed police chief weeks later.
OMG.
This July memo about Player's misconduct said he dangerously escalated the situation, causing injury to the subject of the investigation. These actions could place the city in a position of civil jeopardy and should not be brushed aside lightly, the memo said. It was made out to Kevin Coney.
You were aware of it.
Okay, that's what you say.
Your name's on the memo.
Okay, that don't mean that I knew about it was in his personnel file.
Do you read your memos?
Sometimes I do.
It recommended a 30-day suspension for Player and training in de-escalation techniques, but we couldn't find evidence he received either. The memo was never shared with Warren PD when they came to review Player's personnel file, and according to their background investigation, Chief Coney gave his officer a clean bill of health. He had no issues with Player, an investigator wrote, and there was no discipline in his file. In fact, when Player left Highland Park PD, Chief Coney reported he departed in good standing.
3 years later, he was criminally charged over the very same type of conduct that Highland Park helped to conceal.
Highland Park didn't don't keep. Okay, if that's your word, it just wasn't dealt with.
It was never shared with the department that hired him.
Okay.
Damian Player and his partner are next due in court on July 11th. Player faces 2 felonies and up to 5 years in prison.
If this had been done correctly in Highland Park, does Damian Player get a chance to assault a man with the Warren Police Department?
Not likely.
Well, in a statement, Warren Police told me they would have never hired Damian Player had they known what we just revealed. Kevin Coney left Highland Park in 2021. He insists today that while he was chief, he was really just a figurehead who answered to then City Attorney Terry Ford. Ford did not return our repeated calls, texts, and emails seeking comment. James McMahon is now the chief in Highland Park, appointed by new Mayor Glenda McDonald last year. To her credit, Mayor McDonald overruled her own attorney's advice and released the body cam video we just showed you. Both Mayor McDonald and Chief McMahon say that the video is ugly, but that citizens deserved to see it. And I think that's a very important step here. They say they are much more transparent.
Well, you know, again, it's getting worse and worse. So, you know, I'm going to add another scratch to the calendar for Detroit, the 313. We got to do better. America, you know, all of us, we got to do better. It's crazy work, y'all. It's crazy. You know, so I really appreciate y'all for pulling up on your girl. If you could kindly, real smoothly, take that finger and hit that thumbs up button for your girl, I would super, super appreciate it. And again, I hope everyone has the smoothest, the coolest, and the truest 100% wonderful Wednesday there is ever to be. And, you know, I always like to leave it with this, you know. Always remember, guys, we are stronger than we are smarter than we think. We are braver than we believe. And we are stronger than we seem. Good old Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin. I'm going to be back later on. We're going to break it down with the 6 G's and read a couple more chapters. Again, I got lots more coming for y'all. I appreciate you for, again, pulling up on Big Jayjay. And y'all have a smooth one. And we out.
Got a lot of cities there.
You're gonna have a dream. It's all dream big, right?
Right. Dream big.
not satisfied with my life so far. I'd have to say yes, I'm not saying it wasn't hard, but I've been blessed. I must confess that I'm living my dream. Money, $1 million condos and shows, fashion model hoes that blow your dick in the back to keep your nose froze. VIPs, limos on the go. Forget the past. I don't know the future, yo. I stay in the moment. You can get it if you want it, so jump on that plane and take flight. Take aim, put it in your sights. Have to fight to get what you like, cause you only got one ride. You don't wanna look back and say what you coulda did. You wanna know you did, so dream big. Dream big, don't say what you coulda did. Dream big, do what you say you're gonna do. Dream big, don't hold back, you got one shot. Dream big, take the light and show 'em what you got. Dream big, one life to live, live it to the fullest. Dream big, keep your motivation to make it to the top. Dream big, like the haters, fuck the bullshit. Dream big, cause it is what it is, that's why we get. Dream big.
I dream big to compensate for my nightmares. I dream as if what I wish I had was right here. The weed is just to paralyze the stress I have. And yes, I have a lot of that, I'm not suggesting that I abuse Mary Jane or I'm addicted, but look at all the pain that my life has inflicted. So if I didn't smoke, there's no telling what I'd do. I'd probably end up locked up for a month or two, or they may take my life. Sometimes I hate my life, so when I'm depressed I blaze a blunt and then I write. I'd give my life just for 16 bars and pour my heart out rather than to live with these scars. So I don't live for the day, I live for the moment. And though my eyes stay low, I am focused. My dreams are so big and far from reality that I will defy greater odds than gravity. Dream big, don't say what you coulda did. Dream big, do what you say you're gonna do. Dream big, don't hold back, you got one shot. Dream big, take the light and show 'em what you got. Dream big, one life to live, live it to the fullest. Dream big, keep your motivation to make it to the top. Dream big, like the haters, fuck the bullshit. Dream big, cause it is what it is, that's why we did. Dream big.
You got a lot of cities there.
You're gonna have a dream. Might as well dream big, right?
Right.
Yeah. One half, baby. It's one hit. Hey, no doubt. You gotta dream big. Dream big.